I watched my dad take action his entire life, right? Waking up at 4:30 in the morning to deliver newspapers with me when I was 11 years old, going to the steel mill, after that, working 12 hours a day and doing whatever it took to be able to, create a life for us that was better than what he had, right? And that was always the message he gave was, to create that opportunity for your kids that's a little bit better than what you had. That's our responsibility as parents. And so for me, looking at the opportunities that were in front of me, I think it's easy to take action when you're connected to that reason why at such a deep level.
Welcome back to another episode of The Burn. I am Ben Newman, and I get fired up every single week to talk to you about your burn and to bring you stories of athletes, entrepreneurs, celebrities, people at the top of their game, connecting to that burn, that fire that lies inside of them, that ignites their why and their purpose and causes them to take the necessary action to achieve their highest level of performance. Today, we have a high-level performer who has also become a great friend. And we haven't even known each other that long, but I'll tell you what, you get to be old like the two of us. It's like, you just know when there's somebody that you should be hanging out with, you should be spending time with, you should be getting together with to talk about business, to talk about impact. Brian Hess has been one of those individuals for me. So with no further ado, Brian Hess, welcome to The Burn.
Brother, man, it's an honor and a privilege to be here, man. And thanks for the kind intro. The feeling is 100% mutual, man. From day one, literally, it has been an incredible relationship and friendship. It's amazing how you can meet somebody and feel like you've known them forever, and definitely like you should have known them forever. That's for sure.
I think Jay Duran took some of his voodoo juice or whatever he does, and at your at the event down in Fort Lauderdale, he sprinkled some dust or something. He was like, these two are going to do some things together. And so I joke, but it really is the truth, because we've just had this energy in all our interactions and conversation, and it's been incredible. I do want to set the table with something, because right now, Brian, we're living in this world, as you and I have talked about, where there are so many people, they're sitting on this sideline and they're questioning, do I go in? Do I go in the game? Let me wait and see what happens. But my fears and my doubts tell me don't go in. And, it's incredible what you've done with the Pavement group. And I know we don't talk a lot about resumes here, but, a lot of people get into the contracting space, right? They say, well, I'm just going to get into this little niche of the contract space. Well, like the Pavement group, you might as well just blanket the map, because you guys do work everywhere, pavement work across the entire country, which then has created an opportunity for you to do so many entrepreneurial things in the world of marketing, as well as now coaching. And I really admire your energy. I think it's why we connect, but I really admire your desire to take action. So take us back to, what was the burn and fuel for you when you were wondering, like, how am I going to get this thing rolling?
I think it all goes back to, and mine is, similar to yours in that, it's my parents made enormous sacrifices, right? My father was a steel worker, and it was funny, Jay and I we were recording video at my parents' house. We were doing some interviews with my parents for content. And Jay and I were walking through my parents' backyard, and the light bulb kind of went off. Jay said to me, I was telling him stories about my dad. And he basically said to me, like, dude, you're going after everything that you felt like your dad, was deserving of, but maybe, wasn't able to grasp because he didn't have a degree, and he was, working in the steel mills and things like that. And so it was funny how that alignment came in. The burn for me, man, is, delivering on the opportunity that my family gave me, right? The sacrifices that my parents made to be able to put my brother and I in a better situation, to have the opportunities to build. And so for me, it is, I watched my dad take action his entire life, right? Waking up at 4:30 in the morning to deliver newspapers with me when I was 11 years old, going to the steel mill, you know, after that, working 12 hours a day and doing whatever it took to be able to, you know, create a life for us that was better than what he had, right? And that was always the message he gave was, you know, to create that opportunity for your kids, it's a little bit better than what you had. That's our responsibility as parents. And so for me, you know, looking at the opportunities that were in front of me, I think it's easy to take action when you're connected to that reason why at such a deep level. And so for me, that reason gets deeper and deeper as you have your own kids and you have your own family and things like that. Then it's about being able to show them. So I think there's a burn on both sides, right? Of what got it started, but then what keeps it going. You know, for me, taking action is the only thing that I've ever known because it's what my parents set such a great example of when I was a kid.
You just that was a unbelievable answer, but also a great segue for the next question that I had. And so that's the action piece in business, which does set an example for family. But I want to talk about the family. You and I are blessed to have a mutual friend as well, in Chris Saunders. And he's really the one who kind of made the connection the two of you guys should connect. And I'll forever be grateful for Chris, especially with so many of the things that you and I are excited about that we're working on together moving forward. But I remember watching your Instagram, and I'd watch your stories, and I'd see you with Lori, and I'd see you with the kids, and I'd see your interaction. And I'm like, okay, this guy believes in balance. There's a lot of people who try to say balance doesn't exist, work hard and take time off. And sometimes I politely, and you know this, I come after those people and I say, look, it's their lack of discipline that causes them to say they're not balanced. They just choose to not be disciplined in how they show up to their families. And I don't know if you remember, but you know, you and I do the clubhouse first Friday of every month and the Breakfast of Champions. And that first time I was on there, I highlighted you as the example, as the one who has balance and actually believes that he can be wildly successful in business and actually spend time with his family. So once again, action, you don't just say it, you live it. So how important is it for you to be an example for your kids? How much of the burn do you attribute to that?
Oh man, that's a big one. And you know, to go back, man, like that morning, it was funny because I was telling my wife that she needed to tune in, you know, to listen to you. This was before we really connected on a personal level. Like we, you know, I knew of you. I had no idea that you even knew who I was. And so when I asked a question, I was like, holy smokes, man, this guy's like actually been following me. And I actually went and checked my Instagram and I'm like, he is following me. He's not, I'm not just saying it. And, you know, for me, man, that is everything. I think it's, you know, the reason why we do all of it is to be an example. And it's, you know, it's for our families, but it's also, you know, for those people around us, man. You know, I think the world needs more examples of consistency, of balance, of discipline. And, you know, one of the things that I often say to people is, you know, for me, this is personally for me, the way that I stay balanced the best is to go fast. You know, I compare it to riding a bicycle. If I'm going slow, man, it's wobbly, right? I don't feel right. It doesn't feel like I have balance. But if I'm going full throttle, man, every day, from the time that I open my eyes until the time that I go to sleep, I feel a tremendous amount of balance because I'm playing offense. I'm being intentional and I'm making decisions that fit into the things that I want for my life. And so, you know, I try to get better and better. We were just talking before we came on here about, you know, being able to say no to the things that don't fit. And I think that as people figure that out, as people realize that not everything is going to fit into the model of what your life you want to look like. It's not always going to fit. And when you learn how to say no to things, you can find that balance of being able to do what most people would consider impossible, which is, you know, having a family, having multiple businesses, and being able to spend quality time with your spouse and your kids and juggle all these other things at the same time. But it comes down to the decisions that you make and the action that you take on a regular basis. And especially when you don't feel like it, you know, how you show up, when those days that are really tough arrive is what separates, to me, the good from the great, and the people that actually have the ability to find balance and those that talk about it.
You know, it's, I love hearing you share these answers, because it really does speak to the importance of why we have this show. You know, your clarity on your parents' example, your clarity on family, your clarity on balance, your clarity on I have to move fast, your clarity on intentionality leads me to my next question. You know, when I think about your success, there are so many people, because they move so fast, they don't necessarily move with intention. And I think because you've moved so intentionally with the Pavement Group and been able to have this wild success, literally coast to coast, it's given you a tremendous reputation in the contracting world, which then caused you to say, where can I have an impact, knowing I love giving back. I love the opportunity to help other people grow their businesses. And you formed the Top Contractor School, which was really the blessing for me to come and spend time at one of your in-person events in Fort Lauderdale. And I watched your intention with your messaging there. And I watched how you go about doing things, and I pay attention to those details. So the question that I have for you, with most people who are moving so fast, just doing their one thing, they miss the opportunity to see, I could actually help other people within this space. So what was it for you that caused you to say, the success in the Pavement Group isn't enough, I want to impact others? What was that defining moment for you? Because I think for so many of us, we get moving so fast, sometimes we don't see the moment, we don't see the opportunity.
Yeah, I think it was easy, man. You know, coming into the contracting space and seeing the lack of education, the lack of training, the lack of, you know, and all the things that we deal with as contractors. You know, I say this often because I think that people, even contractors, don't realize some of the things that we deal with that most industries don't have to. And that is weather, equipment breakdowns, you know, the reliability on plants to deliver material on a daily basis to be able to keep our jobs moving and stuff like that. And so there's a large miss there when it comes to, you know, people really being trained as leaders, being trained as salespeople. And so me coming from a space in corporate America where that was like second nature, right? It was always at your fingertips. The information you needed to be successful was right there for you. When I came into construction and that was missing, I've always been kind of a natural teacher. You know, I've always wanted to share information and help other people. I've always had that kind of servant piece to me. And so for me, it was, you know, I brought in people from outside the construction space and taught them what I learned in a short period of time, created success for those people. And I just kind of became addicted to that. It was like, man, not only can I win by helping people, but I can impact these people's lives, families, companies, et cetera, by being able to share the things that I've been blessed to be handed on a silver platter in corporate America, and then learning throughout the construction industry by just being a good student at the same time as trying to teach others. And so for me, it's always been a passion, man, to be able to pay it forward. In the case of Top Contractor School, it's really been a great opportunity to, you know, kind of be a two-way street where we can help those subcontractors that work for the Pavement Group be able to help them grow their businesses in a local market, in addition to the work that they do for us on a national level. And so what it's done, man, has created a community within the construction space that I believe is one of the greatest communities that exist. And it's really changed the game from the standpoint of most contractors don't like to share their secrets, right? The old school way of thinking in our space is keep it to yourself so nobody else knows what you're doing. And we've really changed that. You know, the community that we've built is wide open. We share everything. We talk about best practices. It's really been one of the greatest gifts of my life to be able to build a community within a place that didn't have that, right? It just didn't exist before. And so now we have people that are sharing best practices on a weekly basis. and growing their companies 3-4 time multiples over a couple years, right? Just explosive growth in the groups that we have. And it's been an incredible ride to be able to build that and to build relationships with those people within the community that is really changing the construction world in a big way.
I saw those relationships firsthand in Fort Lauderdale. I mean, it was, from the intentionality of people's faith to how they show up in work to having integrity in how they run their businesses. I mean, you could tell that the right people were in the room. And that's what really drew me to all the great things that you're doing. And I'm just going to plant a little bit of a seed, but there's so many things that you and I are working on together to make that opportunity within Top Contractor School, and the mental side and how they think and how they show up, and taking their performance to a whole nother level. I couldn't be any more excited for the things that we're working on together, and just feel honored that with something that's already ticking at a high level, for you to think that I could bring some value. I think we're going to have a lot of fun impacting that community and growing it together.
No doubt, man. No doubt. It's exciting, man. And it's like I always say to people, like when people get introduced to the construction community, the first thing that they realize, like the light bulb goes off, it's this, man, this whole industry is so underserved. There's so many other industries that get so much attention. And for some reason, there's just, a lack of ability for people to step into this industry. But once they see it, much like you did, you fall in love with the people. And you're like, man, this is such an incredible opportunity. And the construction space, as you know, you work with people in the industry, is massive with huge amounts of profit and just the best people, man. The families and the people that work in the blue collar industry, they are America, right? They are the definition of what this country was built on and built by. And it's incredible to be able to exist in that space and build the relationships and help people grow their businesses.
I couldn't be any more excited, and I know big things ahead. We're going to leave it at that. I'm not saying anything else. All right, final question for you. This goes back to action. We started with action. You've talked so much about taking action. Every one of your answers is because you chose to take action. So I'm going to put you on the spot here. I know you're not expecting this. You and I had a little side conversation after we were together at your event. And quite frankly, you were open and you said, man, I'm disappointed. I can do better in terms of physically how I'm doing, from my nutrition to my workouts. I can be better for my family. I can be better for myself. I can be a better example for the people that come to our events. And so many people, Brian, they make excuses. Well, I can't really do those things because I'm busy throwing these events and running the Pavement group and podcasts and video and all the things that you do. But instead of making excuses, you made a statement to me, and then your discipline and action since that event has been absolutely incredible. And I know come the first of the year, you'll probably, when we do our first event together, you'll probably be at 4 or 5 months in a row of commitment to yourself. But how important was that to you? And speak to the busy business owner running a multi-million dollar operation like yourself, right? To where the excuse is easy, right? Do I really have to do it? Speak to that individual, but also that individual who's maybe getting started, right? And their fears. How important is it to take care of yourself personally in terms of your nutrition and your fitness?
Dude, it's really been a game changer. And I just want to say thank you to you for challenging me in that space and seeing that space. And I shared with you, it was kind of the last thing on the list that I delayed taking care of, right? It was like almost everything else came before me. I put everything else first, whether it was business or family or whatever it was. And what I was unaware of in those moments of choosing everything else over myself is that I was actually cheating those people by not showing up at my potential. And I know that I'm far from that still, But what I've been able to do since July, since June, when we had the conversation, and really doubling down and showing up every single day since July, showing up at the gym, even when I was sick, right? Like I had a week where I was sick and I said, man,
Yeah.
I'm going to show up regardless. I don't care how terrible I feel. I'm going to keep showing up, even if it's not the best workout I've ever had, because I feel terrible. I'm going to keep showing up. And it has changed the game for me, man. When I thought about how to do it, and we talked about this, it's like, man, you got to get up earlier, because I have to stretch the morning in order to be able to fit these things in. And so I'm down 17 pounds. I feel like a new person. My mental sharpness is on another level. And it's been, since July, I've been in the gym or working out every single day. I've got the nutrition part down. I studied it. I researched it. And so it comes down to, you got to get sick and tired of being sick and tired, and you got to stop making excuses. And the one thing that you said to me in the beginning that has really stuck with me, it's one day at a time. It's don't worry about what you're going to do tomorrow. Don't worry about how many days you've been doing it. Focus on that day that's right in front of you, and focus on that next decision that you have to not eat the thing that you're not supposed to eat, to do the workout regardless of how you feel, to just show up one opportunity at a time. And when you start stacking those victories, you create a massive amount of momentum. And mentally, you just don't want to let yourself down. I know what it felt like to get started. I don't want to start over again. I want to keep the momentum and keep the fire burning that's going right now. And I've never felt better in my life. It's an incredible feeling. And when you keep those promises to yourself time after time after time, the self-confidence factor, in addition to everything else that comes along with it, is unbelievable. So to anybody out there that has told themselves they can't, just change the story, and everything else will change along with it.
Okay, what the hell? I mean, there's nothing else to be said. That's it. That is one of the best answers to a question on the burn I think I've maybe ever heard. And now you probably all can see why Brian and I hit it off, why we have so much appreciation for our relationship, but also why we've made a conscious choice. We have to do something to make a big impact together. So stay tuned for those details. They might just be coming your way. And Brian, just thank you so much. I appreciate you so much. And, it's hard sometimes being busy because, quite frankly, sometimes people just don't understand. They don't understand how hard guys like you and I go, and, guys and gals that are willing to go at the level that we go at. And so when I can spend time with somebody like you who's willing to go hard, but to live a life of balance, I appreciate it greatly. And thanks for coming on the show.
Feelings mutual, brother. Love you, man. Thanks for the opportunity to be here. And anytime I can spend time with you, sign me up.
Love you too, brother. And I don't ask much of our listeners. Occasionally I say, please share this episode. And I never say, share it everywhere. Share it with one person. Please share this episode with one person that maybe you recently had a conversation with that's sitting on that sideline, or maybe has said to you, balance doesn't exist. You can't be successful and spend time with your family. Please share this video with somebody who will establish more clarity in their lives. And then as a result of hearing Brian's story, his burn, his passion, have a willingness to take action to show up like he does in his life. Thank you for joining us for The Burn. Make sure you share this episode, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week.